Picture this. You're in your dream home, sipping your morning coffee or tea or shake, whatever gets you going for the day. As you look around the room, you see your family photos, the couch where your relative tells that same story every Christmas, or the kitchen where the most amazing meals have been cooked, and you're smiling because this, in fact, is what you've always wanted.
One of my favorite memories in my home here is the fact that my son and I entertain our Bible study here. Every week that they came over, I was truly embarrassed about how my house looked. But when Rebuilding Together offered us this opportunity, I was just so pleased and so grateful that I didn't know what to do, because all the things that needed to be done in our house, and some of them were major in terms of just our living from day to day. So it was just wonderful.
Rebuilding Together Baltimore believes that safe homes and communities are a vital part of a thriving Baltimore. Founded in 1989, the organization is devoted to repairing homes, revitalizing communities, and rebuilding lives by providing no-cost home repairs to homeowners earning less than the area median income. The initiative is to make homes in the area warmer, safer, and drier. Rebuilding Together Baltimore preserves home ownership on a large community scale, supports building generational wealth, and an overall goal to revitalize communities. Following the Department of Housing and Urban Development's 8 safe and healthy home principles and the 25 health and safety priorities, the finished products give people a greater sense of pride in their homes and belonging in their communities.
Baltimore is a city of neighborhoods, and one of the communities that Rebuilding Together Baltimore targets is the Greater Govans neighborhood, which spans what is known as the York Road Divide. This road represents a boundary in what Dr. Lawrence Brown of Morgan State University termed the Black Butterfly in Baltimore, a border between the majority white communities to the west and the majority black communities to the east. Though the average age of the homes spanning this division are roughly the same, throughout the past century there has been a stark disparity in investment between the sides, as well as discriminatory lending and investment practices. As a result, the number of home sales and average home values on the west side have dramatically surpassed the number of home sales and average home values on the east side.
The kinds of repairs that Rebuilding Together Baltimore addresses are major issues that any homeowner faces, usually with the assistance of a contractor or other special service provider. But slower growth in home values means that there isn't as much equity to fund those major projects. Across the country, Rebuilding Together affiliates were known for providing volunteer opportunities to individuals and corporate groups to come roll up their sleeves and help with basic home repairs. But COVID changed that. Projects of all sizes needed to continue, even though volunteers couldn't visit the homeowners personally. In order to keep delivering on their mission, Rebuilding Together Baltimore's role grew as a connection between special service providers and homeowners. Over the past several years, restricted project funding increased, but Rebuilding Together Baltimore's operational resources were stretched. When it was finally safe to reintroduce volunteers, the Rebuilding Together Baltimore team sat down with the Give Fellows to ask, how might we create a new signature engagement for volunteers that supports our operational needs and creates a meaningful impact on the community? When we were first introduced to Rebuilding Together Baltimore, we immediately saw the universal value of a monthly preventative maintenance schedule. We recommended leveraging this schedule to create a kit that volunteers could use at various community appearances to advocate for everyone to have a safe and healthy home, as well as supporting Rebuilding Together Baltimore to be able to help members of the community who needed it. Building on the success of Rebuilding Together Baltimore's own Community Resource Fair this summer in the Poppleton neighborhood, They could be represented at community fairs or meetings in more affluent neighborhoods, in addition to those places where Rebuilding Together Baltimore already has a presence. Ambassadors will help create a more stable revenue stream that will allow Rebuilding Together Baltimore to place more skilled services into the homes where they are needed.
Now, imagine that you're sitting around your home when you realize that you have a hole in your roof. Or come to the realization that a loved one no longer has the ability to navigate through their home as freely as they used to. What can you do to help? Fortunately, you do have an opportunity to become more involved in improving lives. Familiarize yourself with monthly maintenance checklist items to keep your home in the best condition possible. Check in on your neighbor and ask if they need help with their monthly maintenances. Consider making a donation to Rebuilding Together Baltimore. Volunteer if you're a skilled laborer and assist with renovations. Attend community events. By working together with Rebuilding Together Baltimore, we can improve lives while increasing a community connection, providing safety, which increases physical and mental health, and increasing economic security. Please join Rebuilding Together Baltimore and helping to make the American dream a reality.